Right, let's get straight into this. In today's explainer, we are conducting a neurobiological autopsy on one of the absolute darkest, most misunderstood phenomena in human psychology, the trauma bond. We are completely stripping away all the usual emotional platitudes to dissect the cold, hard neural hijacking that occurs during these toxic dynamics. So to be clear, this is not a sympathetic counseling session. This is a strict forensic examination of exactly how the human brain gets hacked. And honestly, that forensic lens is so desperately needed, because from the inside, the victim's internal matrix is just pure agonizing confusion. You know, if you've ever looked at an abusive relationship from the outside and thought, why on earth don't they just leave? You are completely missing the raw, terrifying reality of what it actually feels like to be trapped in that cycle. There is a terrifying biological paradox we have to confront literally right out of the gate. Humans are not captured through continuous kindness. They are structurally enslaved through orchestrated unpredictability. We need to completely demolish the moral myth of the weak victim right now. People do not stay in abusive dynamics despite the pain. They stay precisely because the pain acts as the catalyst for the deepest neurochemical addiction the human mind can possibly experience. We are setting a strictly clinical, uncompromising tone today because treating this as just a bad relationship is mathematically and biologically incorrect. Because inside the relationship, all that agonizing fear followed by sudden, desperate bursts of affection, it really feels like an undeniable soulmate connection. It feels like this passion of transcendent intensity that's born out of surviving the storm together.
Right, but we have to reframe that immediately because that is purely an illusion. Let's look at the actual neurochemical reality here. This isn't love. It is a severe structural dependency. The victim's brain is literally misinterpreting toxic chemical chaos as profound romance.
Which brings us to the clinical definition. A trauma bond is an involuntary, deep-seated neurochemical attachment, and it's created by a systematic pattern of emotional abuse, operationalized through cyclical fluctuations of high-intensity cruelty and high-intensity validation. I really want to emphasize the word involuntary here. This is an organic brain disease triggered by an external predator. For an unassisted cognitive architecture, rational escape is mathematically impossible. The victim's logical reasoning centers are completely overridden by a chemical survival loop that demands the exact person who is destroying them. Now, this analytical framework treats trauma bonding strictly as an interpersonal addiction. What we're examining is the exact neural footprint of a severe cocaine or gambling addiction, just transposed directly onto a human relationship. As an explainer, our goal here is not to offer soft self-help advice like, oh, you just need to learn to love yourself. You literally cannot self-love your way out of a drug addiction. We must treat this as the severe substance dependency it is. The predator operates as the narcotic, and the victim's nervous system is the compromised host. We can actually map this process step by step through what's called an intermittent reinforcement schedule. It's essentially the mathematics of a psychological casino. Step 1 is stable validation. In a normal, healthy relationship, predictable love safely satisfies the brain, so dopamine just plateaus into a calm, peaceful baseline. But calm doesn't enslave you. So step 2 introduces calculated devaluation. The toxic manipulator suddenly and unpredictably withdraws that love, which spikes cortisol and induces absolute panic. Then step 3 is sudden restoration. When the cruelty briefly stops, the brain experiences a massive opioid surge. It's the unpredictability, the slot machine mechanics, that fundamentally breaks the brain's reward centers. And if you've ever actually lived through this, you know the raw, visceral whiplash of these rapid behavioral shifts. One minute you are their entire world, and the very next you are entirely worthless to them. You constantly feel like you are losing your mind, just frantically trying to figure out what you did wrong to cause the shift.
But biologically speaking, you haven't done anything wrong at all. You're just being systematically conditioned in a lab. The manipulator is essentially running an execution matrix. The love bombing phase hypersaturates the target with validation. The calculated devaluation phase introduces sudden hostility and severe status anxiety. And finally, the relief exploit grants a temporary, unearned pardon.
Zooming in on that initial love bombing phase for a second, we have to understand it is not about romance. It is a highly effective predatory data gathering mission. The predator uses love bombing to mirror the target, map out their insecurities, and establish an artificially high baseline of dopamine dependency. They are essentially inflating the biological balloon as much as possible, specifically ensuring that the target is neurochemically primed for maximum possible devastation when the impending devaluation and withdrawal phase hits. And when that withdrawal inevitably hits, when the neglect and the gaslighting just begin out of nowhere, the panic is unimaginable. You experience the severe status anxiety, a desperate fear of abandonment, and you obsessively rationalize their cruelty just to try and regain a single shred of stability. And that panic is driven by a massive, literal surge of cortisol flooding your physical brain. This stress hormone locks the prefrontal cortex, which is your logic and reasoning center, completely out of command. You simply cannot think your way out of this state. And then the predator suddenly switches back to validation, triggering a rescue and relief flood of dopamine and endogenous opioids. This brings us to a terrifying, highly counterintuitive mechanism we call the Cessation-of-Pain Reward Explosion. The absolutely crucial point to understand here is that the victim's brain isn't actually addicted to pleasure. It becomes deeply, pathologically addicted to the sudden, agonizing relief from the very pain the predator just manufactured. Think about it like this. When someone pulls a knife out of your back, the sudden end of that excruciating physical trauma feels like an ecstatic, opioid-driven biological high. The hijacked brain mistakes the simple removal of torture for an act of pure transcendent love.
And look, the medical data backs this up with chilling precision. fMRI data proves that when a trauma-bonded individual experiences a rupture or a breakup with their toxic partner, their brain scans are entirely indistinguishable from an addict undergoing acute narcotics withdrawal. This constant oscillation between high cortisol and high dopamine completely desensitizes the nervous system. This is exactly why victims of trauma bonding often filter healthy, stable, continuous relationships as boring or unstimulating. Their brain has been physically rewired to require chemical amplitudes. They literally need the chaos to feel anything at all.
Section 1. The Ghost in the Machine, or Freud's repetition compulsion. So why does the subconscious actually fall for this trap in the first place? It comes down to an evolutionary cognitive glitch. Inside the victim's mind, there's this agonizing subconscious pull toward familiar toxic archetypes. The internal rationalization sounds exactly like this. If I can force this abusive person to love me, I will finally heal my primary wound. It is a desperate attempt to fix the past, actively pulling you straight into a psychological meat grinder in this misguided attempt to finally rewrite a losing historical script.
And here is the absolute darkest part of this matrix. Predators instinctively recognize this internal vacancy during their rapid profiling in the love bombing phase. They anchor their hooks directly into this exact historical vulnerability to ensure a closed, inescapable psychological circuit.
Which brings us to the absolute conclusion, the clinical extraction mandate. Because we now fully understand the severe neurochemical reality of this trap, we must aggressively strip away all remaining romantic delusions, emotional platitudes, and false hope. You cannot love your way out of a neurobiological hostage situation. You cannot heal a predator with your empathy. We have to treat this with the exact same cold, calculated, strategic detachment as treating a patient with a lethal systemic infection. But we have to acknowledge that the reality of separation is just absolute hell for the victim. The profound agony and those intense physical withdrawal symptoms can make going back feel like literally the only way to survive the pain.
We absolutely acknowledge that raw internal reality. But we must also reiterate that this is an organic brain disease. It cannot be reasoned with, cannot be cured through better communication, setting boundaries, or going to couples therapy. The toxic partner is not a flawed lover. They are the chemical trigger of a deadly dependency loop. Therefore, the only medical solution is total, calculated neurochemical starvation.
Absolute, permanent chemical starvation via zero contact. The only escape from this neural hijacking is to completely and permanently shut off the supply of intermittent reinforcement. No texts, no check-ins, no final closure conversations. As we conclude this neurobiological autopsy, I'm going to leave you with this chilling reevaluation to think about. The next time you feel a chaotic, overwhelming, frantic spark with someone, you need to ask yourself, is it a transcendent soulmate connection? Or is your trauma simply recognizing its predator?